Hello there, my name is James, or TGD, or the gaming definition, whatever suits you best. This is going to be my opinion-based review of Modern Warfare 2. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. If you don't agree with my opinions, that's fine. Let's get right into it. Let me remind you all, and let some of the new gamers know, that I built this channel off of making videos on the original Modern Warfare trilogy, and a lot of old Call of Duty games, of which were, and still are, arcade shooters with fluid movement, gunplay, and physics, all built off of the Quake engine. Coming from the Quake engine, they inherently kept a lot of the Quake mechanics present, which meant anybody that knew how to utilize them could. Stuff like the circle jump, stuff like different frame rates affecting physics, running speed, how high or far you can jump, the fire rate of your gun, etc, etc. If you ran against the wall slightly, you could run faster. I kept playing the old school Call of Duty games from COD 4 onwards up until late 2019 when Modern Warfare released, but I was predominantly a Modern Warfare 3 nostalgia based channel. That's where I blew up, and it got me where I am today. I'd upload MOABs with all sorts of different weapons in that game, do challenges, MOAB challenges, all that sort of stuff. So I've had a reasonable amount of experience, and a lot of it being recent. So generally speaking, I've had far more recent experience with the trilogy than most. So of course, when I see people comparing this game to those three gorgeous games, I just gotta say, they are completely and utterly wrong on so many levels. Now don't get me wrong, I am aware that I've played all of these Call of Duty games on PC, with higher field of view and higher frame rate, so my experience to console is completely different. A lot of people say the newer Call of Duties, namely Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2, are both faster in pacing than the old Call of Duties. But when you factor in the field of view difference, you can go all the way up to 120 field of view. And that gives a sense of speed. It makes it seem like you're running around a lot faster than you actually are. And in a lot of cases, the older games, in the older games, you actually do move faster. Maybe the animations aren't as smooth, which would be a fair judgment, but that doesn't equate to faster movement. I've left this review for a few weeks and I had to let my initial disdain simmer down so I could try and approach this game and this video review in a fair, calm and collected manner. COD was my favourite FPS franchise for a long time, and of course 2018 was the last year where I truly felt I resonated with the games. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy Modern Warfare 19 for a time, but that game had a lot of issues and design choices that really messed with the flow of the game. But it also had a lot of redeeming qualities and things about it that I could capitalize on to make content. I do appreciate the game for what it was still far too many a step in the wrong direction. I don't have many good points to give about Modern Warfare 2, so we'll start off with what they have done well. Jumping right into the good. The ability to tune your attachments to make your gun perform to a specific niche or focus in on areas even further that it lacks within is a fantastic new feature. This level of customization is glorious for players like myself that enjoy nerding out with minute statistics to min-max a loadout. It's a shame the rest of the creator class is lacking in the versatility department unlike this, but I'll go into detail with that a bit later. Number 2. Graphically, the game is impressive in a lot of areas. Some areas look scarily realistic, especially in the campaign. Camos really do look fantastic this year. Gold looks pretty damn good. It reminds me of Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 1 to a crazy degree. There is a bit of messing around with graphics options to get them there. I think it was something like shader quality to high and something else, screen space reflection on maximum, I'm not entirely sure. At number 3, we have in-game audio. At least referencing to gun sounds, kill streaks, tanks, choppers, fighter jets, everything else that's flying overhead. It's all phenomenal, it's crazy. I've seen many war movies over the years and stuff online from real war footage. It's crazy how good everything sounds. Very, very realistic with high quality audio, yet it doesn't deafen you for the most part. Here and there, the audio mixing is a bit shoddy and you will get deafened by a jet flying overhead, whereas everything else doesn't quite fit to the same level of audio. Footstep audio is still missing a lot of the time, unfortunately, as I assume maybe the game engine can't handle all the different audio effects going on at the same time. This wasn't so much of an issue in the older Call of Duties. I would like it to be more like the old days where you could just You could only just make out somebody running up behind you whilst you're shooting, if your gun's suppressed or something like that. Obviously for balance reasons and not realism. At number 4, we have the weapon variety. It certainly is solid in Modern Warfare 2. I like all the different receivers and how all the gun attachments are interlinked across receivers, and you don't have to spend years unlocking the same attachment for every weapon. That was a big bugbear of mine in Modern Warfare 2019 and pretty much every other Call of Duty, because it was constantly starting from scratch and you'd have to wait until late game before the gun's usable in a lot of cases, and by then your KD's tanked. Not that that matters this year. A step in the right direction though, for sure. Same with unlocking camos. Those are far more rewarding and less time consuming now, and it's actually something that you want to go for. Now it's time for the bad, and this is where the meat of it comes in. Starting off with visual recoil, it's easily the worst we've ever seen in Call of Duty. Actual recoil isn't at all a problem. The spacing between shots still simply requires pulling down with the odd touch to the left or the right to stay on target. The problem is how much the gun and screen is shaking all over the show, like you're having an absolute, like you've just shoved a vibrator up. The recoil has likely been overcomplicated like this to make it much harder for keyboard and mouse players to stay on target, as the visual information you are receiving is heavily reduced with your gun flaying all over the show. This is an indirect buff to controller aim assist, as a lot of the time you don't need to see where your enemy is, you just need to rely on the aim assist to stay on target. Very frustrating, and I hope that the visual recoil gets toned down heavily. In Modern Warfare 2019, there were attachments that would reduce the visual recoil, like the commando grip, but that doesn't seem to be present in Modern Warfare 2 at all so far. At least I haven't seen it. Secondly, the perk system takes me back to the saying that we have in the UK. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. COD World War II tried to change up how perks worked back in 2017 with the divisions and basic trainings. Then later on, towards the end of the life cycle, they ended up revamping the game and adding specialist bonus back, reworking the perk system, all of that stuff. I can see the same thing happening here in Modern Warfare 2, as this whole system is just awful. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. The way perks used to work was far better than this slow unlock, slow drip system throughout each game. Why are we suddenly abandoning specialist bonus in the Modern Warfare franchise? This helped cull streak spam and allowed for varied gameplay. But no, instead we're completely abandoning specialist bonus, we're going with this weird perk system. I don't get it. I hope they completely rework the perk system this year so it works more like how it used to in Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2019, and pretty much every other Call of Duty game. Thirdly, here's my favourite one to talk about. Aim assist. This is the strongest we have ever seen it. To the point that I'm considering swapping to controller because I just don't feel like I'm rewarded for the time I put into mouse and keyboard. And I'm not alone in that. Many other creators on mouse and keyboard, many other great players, a lot of great players on mouse and keyboard are saying the exact same thing. The main reason that's stopping me from doing so is that it would no longer be my skill that's getting me the gameplay. It'll be the Activision-made, unbannable, borderline cheats that are given to every single player. I mean, it's even to the point where a pro player, and arguably one of the best controller players of all time, Optic Scump, has said this.
Aim assist is just so great. Bro, like nowadays in COD, like they took out so much of the skill of aiming with like controller, with dynamic aim assist. It's actually like, dude, you don't even have to aim anymore. Like, not even trolling. It's like so easy to shoot nowadays compared to back.
At number 4, we have the movement. Movement is non-existent. Many gamers claim that COD is going back to its roots with the movement in this game, but I disagree. The movement now is clunky, toned down, and borderline pointless a lot of the time. If you jump shot, which is the only quote-unquote viable method of peeking a corner quickly, you now net yourself what feels like a 2x ADS speed penalty. Yes, you carry momentum, but you're essentially relying on RNG to carry you, with hipfire until your gun is finally aimed in and accurately firing. This gives all the camping Sentinel boomers the advantage in this game, and is just nowhere near the classic COD styling. Classic CODs allowed you to jump shot and crouch mid-air. This movement technique allowed you to jump through windows and other smaller gaps that would otherwise be inaccessible from a standing stance. You could jump shot into a drop shot quickly, or even use the Quake movement mechanics mentioned earlier to jump further and faster. But now it's one measly jump shot that nerfs you, and then you're completely dead in the water afterwards. You've also got to remember that when people are talking about the older CODs, namely the Modern Warfare trilogy, Modern Warfare 2 and 3 both had perks like sleight of hand, quick draw, steady aim and lightweight, which increased your ADS speed and sprint out speed, or reduced the time it took, cut in half ADS time and sprint out time, whereas Modern Warfare 2 doesn't really have that. If you're caught sprinting, if you're not pre-aiming in a corner, you're likely going to get killed by someone that's pre-aiming and you can't outplay them. Even if you know they're there, you often lose the gunfight. No matter whether you're faster, you aim better, you have a better gun. In a lot of scenarios, these people that are camping just have the upper hand. It's as simple as that. This is one of the major factors that really needs to change. At number 5, we have slide cancelling. Slide cancelling is gone. So now if you ever caught sprinting, it's pretty much over for you. There's pretty much no reason to slide either, considering how slow it is. You can't slide up to a corner and have your gun ready quickly because you end up stuck in the slide animation as well for the entire duration, and it's just really slow. You're dead in the water. You're better off jumping to the corner, and of course we just discussed the negatives that come with that. I don't really think there's any point to the slide anymore. It just catches you out when you're trying to crouch after a jump, or crouch after sprinting now. Might as well just not even have the slide in the game if I'm honest. I'd say it's as bad as the slide from Ghosts, if not worse. At number 6, we have the fact that this is easily the smallest skill gap we've ever seen in the Call of Duty franchise as a whole. Yes, I understand this isn't a competitive game. I understand that this is an arcade shooter. Wait, arcade shooter. Hang on a minute. Aren't we going for realism now? What is it anymore? What is COD anymore? But even so, this is the smallest skill gap we've ever seen in the COD franchise as a whole. With the lack of movement options combined with the ridiculous time to kill, the obnoxious ADS sprint out times, there's no incentive to move at all. Moving puts you at such a disadvantage. I've never known any FPS games to do this. There's games like CSGO and Valorant where if you're moving and shooting, you're going with RNG, you're not going to hit your shots. But I'd argue that Modern Warfare 2 is somewhere between CSGO and Valorant in terms of punishing movement at this point. And I don't care about all this realism, oh, if you're moving and shooting, it's hard to aim, blah, blah, blah. Dude, this is Call of Duty, the most casual experience out there. Why are we chasing realism? When half the time it's not even realistic anyway. Somebody that's put thousands of hours into first-person shooter games, aiming, practice, all of that stuff, shouldn't be on the same playing field as somebody that clocks in 2 hours a week at most. The guy playing for 2 hours a week shouldn't be able to easily take down the 1,000-hour Leviathan. But that is the COD experience we're at now. It's so incredibly watered down. And the crazy part about it is that I used to think Modern Warfare 2019 had an extremely small skill gap. Now they're just showing how small it can truly get. At number 7, we have skill-based matchmaking and engagement optimized matchmaking, or whatever it is that is in this game. It has been cranked to ridiculous levels. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not one to sway away from a sweaty match, but it's Call of Duty, right? An arcade, casual shooter experience. What is the point in every match being this invisible ranked system? Why not just force everybody into the ranked mode? Why not just force ranks and everything like that so you can actually see whether you're playing at diamond level, at challenger level? Like, there is no purpose other than to ruin the experience for anybody with above average FPS skills. Especially combine this harsh skill-based matchmaking with the smallest skill gap arguably we have ever seen in Call of Duty history. It makes for an incredibly unfun experience. I know for one that I would happily spend money on in-game skins and all that sort of stuff if I didn't have such a poor experience with the game. If instead of this hidden elo system that they have with skill-based matchmaking and artificial wins and losses with the engagement optimization systems, if instead it just showed a rank so you knew every single lobby what you were getting into, I prefer it more. I've played games like Counter-Strike in ranked, I've played games like Overwatch, I've played League of Legends, I've played Valorant ranked, I've played so many different games in their ranked mode and I've had fun playing against players that are as good as me or better than me. I've enjoyed learning things. But in this game, there is nothing to learn from playing against people as good as you, or better, or controller players that are just going to demolish you with meta weapons. All it enforces is that nobody can branch out and use fun weapons anymore. Otherwise, they're going to have a horrible experience. They're never going to have a chance. Like, the amount of times I've gone negative when trying to level up weapons, because I'm one of the few players that actually does it and doesn't sit there using the 74U 24/7. It's mad. And no, I don't want an easy experience. I just want some balanced gameplay, like the old days. Back in the Modern Warfare 3 days, it would be a mixed bag. Some days, some lobbies, you'd have the biggest, sweatiest match of your life, and it would be your task to try and make the good players rage quit, so you can farm the odd average or below average players that are in the lobby with you. Or you'd have an absolute stomp lobby, and then a tryhard would join, and then it would be impossible to stomp the way you were when the tryhard or good player wasn't there. You know, it was a mixed bag. Every time it was a different experience. You combine that with the fact that lobbies didn't disband after each game, so you could build a rivalry with the tryhard / good player. Sometimes you'd have a bit of trash talk with the good player. You'd dislike each other at first, and then you'd grow to respect each other, because hang on a minute, yes, this guy's sweaty, yes, this guy's good, yes, him being in the lobby is stopping you from farming it. You come to the realization, hey, he's actually pretty good. That's respectable, and then you respect each other's skills. And sometimes you end up becoming friends afterwards and then partying up. But that doesn't happen anymore. You have one game against these players, a bit of trash talk at the end or midway through the game, and then you probably never see them again. Although I must say, the latter isn't true for me. I've been seeing a lot of the same players on the daily. A lot of the same good / sweaty players on the daily, and it's like, oh, I know that Ricky Rick 32 is going to be using his 725 with a riot shield and claymores. I know that he's got the weird base cannon mine that gets tripped and stun grenades and other stuff like that. So avoid certain rooms on the maps because he's always going to be there. I know that Jerry John is an absolute AK-74U sweat lord and doesn't use anything else. That only cares about getting kill streaks to pad his KD out. So if he gets 3 kills in a row, just know he's going to be sitting on a head glitch for the rest of the game until he gets his chopper gunner. You know, the game rewards nothing other than holding down one area, not moving, and it's just some of the most unentertaining gameplay of any Call of Duty ever. Finally, we're going to talk about Ground War. I left this to the end as it's more suited towards me, as Ground War in MW19 was easily my favourite mode for a multitude of reasons. It had some of the craziest gameplay I've ever seen in Call of Duty, and I loved it because it put me in a potential situation for me to go 1v10, 1v15, 1v20, and with the assets and skill sets and everything that was available in Modern Warfare 2019, like slide cancelling, like low ADS / sprint out time setups with high recoil, or at least high recoil for that game, that you had to fight with stopping power and whatever else, there was the potential to demolish the entire enemy team on my own. And I did it on occasion, here and there. And it made for a very entertaining gameplay, as far as I'm concerned, and was some extremely high risk, high reward stuff. But now moving to Modern Warfare 2's Ground War, it has been completely gutted. The design philosophy has clearly changed. They've gone in the opposite direction from 2019. Everything from 2019 has been abandoned. There is no flow. There are far too many roofs, nooks and crannies to lurk in. You probably remember the man on a roof video, etc, etc. I spend so much time running around in Invasion and Ground War to find nobody. Even when I'm running around the enemy flags directly in the middle of the map where the enemy should be, there's nobody there. So I'll call in a UAV and see that people are now 200, 300, 400 meters away from me just after I've gotten 5 or 6 kills. They don't end up spawning back at the flag that I'm next to. They spawn on the chopper or the APC a mile away, or one of the flags a mile away. And I have no vehicle spawns near me or safe travel ways of getting from A to B to get back into the action. So what are my choices here? I either wait and hope for some unknown reason that the enemies decide to head back to my portion of the map, or I head out and try to cross the Google Earth scale to Afghanistan war simulator sized maps, whilst dodging 500 sniper shots from super sentinels with scope glint the size of the average Reddit accusator's brain. Boring, unplayable, watered down mess clearly designed to stop any sort of potential pop-off or fast-paced gameplay. Imagine having 1 to 2 minutes of downtime per kill in Call of Duty. Probably the most arcade FPS franchise to ever exist. It's very sad to see the direction that Infinity Ward is taking with their Modern Warfare games. It's very much not for me. There's a lot of people that agree with some of my points, a lot of people that disagree with my points, a lot of people that agree with all of my points. I don't really hold out any hope for this franchise anymore. The franchise, as far as I'm concerned, has just doubled down, even tripled down on just milking the casual consumers for everything they have to offer, whilst also making sure that the top % of players don't have a great time. You know, if they could get rid of good players, I'm pretty sure they would. If they could make it so the good players can't play anymore so they can monetize the bad ones, they'd probably do that. They want everybody to have a 1 KD, or at least that's how it seems. Honestly, I could probably think of many more issues with this game that I find personally, but Infinity Ward have made it very clear in responses to criticism that in a lot of cases they do not care. They do not care about the opinions of a lot of people. They are happy with the game the way it is, which is very unfortunate to see. Infinity Ward made a lot of my favorite games. Times have changed, and Call of Duty's really just gone down corporate hill of only caring about the money, and that's it. The games are getting watered down because of this, becoming very empty shell experiences of what they used to be. Yeah, there's a lot of great redeeming things about Modern Warfare 2, but the gameplay for me isn't one of them. And considering that's a major portion, or a major part of your sandwich, in terms of FPS, the gameplay, you can sprinkle as much glitter as you like, and make it the fanciest thing you've ever seen, and give it the fanciest coating you've ever seen, but shit will always remain as shit, deep down at the end of the day. If you guys want to see my what could fix Modern Warfare 2 video, do make sure to let me know down below in the comments. If you agree with what I've said and or like the video, then feel free to hit the like button down below as it helps a lot. If you dislike my points or want to argue against them, feel free to comment down below and hit the dislike button if you are that so far inclined. And do remember, it's perfectly fine to disagree on points. It doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all. We don't have to dislike each other over it. Opinions at the end of the day are like assholes. Everybody has one. It is what it is. But yes, I'd be more than happy to make a what could fix Modern Warfare 2 video. I feel like I have a lot of points that could be made that wouldn't just approach it and try and make it for good players. I'd be approaching balance, as I know making a game exclusively for good players often doesn't lead to much popularity. But that doesn't mean you can't meet them halfway, right? Anyway, with all that in mind, thank you very much for watching the video. I'll leave you with the outro. Have a good one, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the outro. Hey, just quickly, a special shout out goes out to NRT X Dragon at the God Mode tier. And of course, thank you to everyone else that is a channel member. Have a good one and take care.